with us, you'll find a Connect card either next to you, maybe you might be sitting on it. Go ahead and pull that out, and you can fill it out. We would love to be in contact with you, and I have a record of your being here. So if you're your first time, welcome. My name is Zach, one of the pastors here. If you're back again, maybe like this is your second time, special welcome to you. Good to come back, even though the rain. If you have a prayer request, you can put that on the back. Or you'd like Judah here, you can just draw me a little picture, okay? And put that in there. The pastors and the elders get these, and we pray over them. So you can put a little encouraging scribble on there, and that would be wonderful. Hey, a couple more announcements for you. The first one is this: we have a community fair today. So if you are not in a community group, we would love for you to sign up. There's actually these little signing bonuses right next to the sign-up sheets. Little Reese's peanut butter cups. Anybody? Yeah? Okay, all right, and little Hershey's Kisses for my class. All right. So if you love that little signing bonus this morning, we would love for you to sign up with a community group. It's wonderful to have you here this morning. It's awesome to be able to serve alongside of you, even in the different ministries. But man, to really do life together, to really truly pray for one another, bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ, as Galatians 6:2, we're going to do that. We need to be in one another's life. The best way to do that at Exodus Church is to get involved in the community group. That way we can know you, you can know us, we can pray for you, and you can have a whole group of members from Exodus, brothers and sisters around you. Both the feast, because we eat, we like to eat. Like, yeah, I know this. So we love to eat, pray for one another, and also dive deeper in God's Word. So come meet the leaders after service. We'll be out there in the foyer. You can sign up. If you want the best community group to sign up for mine. Just throw that out there. Yeah, I'm doing announcements, so I have to throw that out. Okay, next week is a baptism class, okay? So, that's Wednesday. Remember, baptism after service next week. So, if you want to get baptized, we're going to have some people that are getting baptized, or your child wants to get baptized, or you want to have that conversation, like, are we ready? Let's just talk about that. So, that will be a baptism class. That's going to be Wednesday. You want to be ready for next week after church to get baptized, you or your child. Come to the baptism class. We're going to have it in the offices, 6:30 to 8. You can get in touch with me. I'll give you more information on that. Also, partnership. So if you'd like to partner with Exodus Church, you say, hey, you know what, I've been coming here for a little while. I love Exodus. This is my church. I want this to be my church. And you just want to say, hey, this is my church family. We would love that. And so we want to talk a little bit about what that would mean, what that looks like, to covenant with one another and be in partnership with one another. So come to a partnership class. Maybe you heard it also called being a member of the church. So we'll talk through a little bit about that. And that would be not this Wednesday, but the following. Okay? All right. So now, as we come to God's throne room this morning, let us stand and let us read here from Psalm 73 for our call to worship. And that's what we've come here to do. To meet with God, to exalt Him, to make His name great, and to do business with Him. Right? Psalm 73 does business with God. He who writes the psalm is so angry at God. All these other people, they don't go to church. They don't, when it rains, they stay home. All these other people, man, they don't go to church at all. They don't even love God, and yet they're prospering. Why does it seem like it always rains on me and not them? Psalm 73, he's upset. What is going on here? Why does it seem like the wicked are prospering? Verse 16. Going through this over and over again. He says, but when I thought how to understand this, it seemed to me a wearisome task until I went into the sanctuary of God. Then I discerned their end. Truly, you set them in slippery places. You made them fall to ruin. How they are destroyed in a moment. Swept away utterly by terrors. Like a dream when one awakes. Oh Lord, when you rouse yourself, you despise them as phantoms. When my soul was embittered, when I was pricked in heart, I was brutish and ignorant, and I was like a beast before you. Nevertheless, I am continually with you, and you hold my right hand. You guide me with your counsel, and afterward you will receive me to glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? There is nothing on earth that I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. This is the word of the Lord. Praise be to God. Well, then bow your head and be angry with God. Talk to God. long time, right now, just do business with him. Come to him, confess, let him find, what is it? Confess it to him. Here's the state of life. We look to our left and our right and know that we are all sinners. We're not alone. This is our corporate confession. Is this: God, we come before you as broken men and women, broken by the sins of our past and the sins of our present. God, we cannot stand under the weight of sin's guilt and shame. The accuser screams. The accuser screams in our ears that we are unworthy of grace, and that we are outside the reach of your love. We seek quiet screams by turning ourselves over to their demands. We allow sin to blind our eyes from the redeeming power and grace of God. We follow sin's leading like slaves towards stupidity and insanity. God, left to ourselves, we decay away into objects of wrath. For who can stand before your perfect justice? Our sins are ever before us. We know it. And our need of a Savior is clearly seen. We need you. We need to be washed from these sin-stained garments this morning. We need to be cleansed by that which we don't deserve. So standing on the promises of your holy word, we come to you for cleansing. We come to you now for washing. We come to you now confessing our sins. Father, forgive us.
Everyone needs
shown up, yeah, but he's the one who's drawn us here this morning. During the confession, even, I was thinking, oh, yeah, that's our part. We need to confess. But even in that, he says, oh, Lord, search me and know me. You've actually got to illuminate my heart for me. Show me what it is that I have to confess. But truly, yeah, we do offer up confession to the Lord. But now for the assurance of pardon. There's nothing for you to do but only receive. Right now, this is not you participating only, but to receive the assurance that is in Christ Jesus. Receive it this morning. There's going to be a benediction. You're going to be filled with the Holy Spirit, be sent out. But right now, receive it. The gospel of Jesus Christ is indeed good news. It is good news. Receive this news. This is good news because it announces the fact that God became flesh and atoned for our sins. He's covered our shame. And He has removed our guilt. He's done this. Jesus has taken His place upon the throne and has clothed us in His righteousness. He has done this. And has secured us in His covenant faithfulness. For Jesus is the radiance of the glory of God. He's the exact imprint of His nature. And He upholds the universe by the word of His power. And this great King now brings many sons and daughters to glory. So instead of cowering before His greatness, He transforms us into His likeness. From one degree of glory to another, He has taken us from objects of wrath and has transformed us into objects of affection in Christ. We no longer fear the righteousness of God, for by it we have been changed into redeemed sons and daughters. This is the good news of the gospel. Jesus has brought us into the Holy of Holies and has secured us in His presence. So church, hear these words. By the great and powerful and glorious name of Jesus, I declare to you this morning, your sins are forgiven. Praise be to God.
Once held me and how beautiful. what makes us wise as snow. There is no other fountain of the real love of God who sacrificed for us. So thank you for your gift. Help us to listen today with our spirits, with our hearts, to focus on the word that we need to teach. In Jesus' name.
Amen. You can be seated. Kids, you are dismissed to go to your class this morning. Pray the Spirit of God is with you as you study and sing and hear the songs and the gospel preached in the Old Testament. There are certain concepts in life that, no matter how much you think through it, they're never really exhausted, right? And there's certain things. Love would be one of them. You know, the infinite love of God. It doesn't matter how much you try to contemplate, how much you try to study, how much you experience. You can never truly understand the love of God. And one of the reasons for that is we look at the cross and we see the love of God perfectly demonstrated by Jesus being on the cross. And when we look at the cross, we can't even begin to understand what actually happened there, right? I mean, we study the Bible and we read it and we talk about it and we believe it and we apply it, but yet it's still this beautiful truth that we are only scratching the surface of. Another thing that is difficult to comprehend is the idea of sin. Right? I mean, the idea of sin is not one that we can easily define. I don't know if you've ever tried to do this in your life or in a conversation. But when you think about sin, it is the opposite. It is something that is rebellion against God and God's holiness. And God's holiness is infinite, so when we look at sin, it's infinitely in rebellion against God. And throughout our lives, at each season, you will, if you're walking with God, you will realize that my sin is actually far worse than I thought it was 10 years ago or 5 years ago. In fact, John Calvin, in his book, The Institute of the Christian Religion, he talks about right at the beginning how the knowledge of man and the knowledge of God work together. And if you think that you have this knowledge of God that's, way down the road, but your understanding of self and your understanding of sin doesn't correspond, then really you don't get God, essentially. You don't understand God without first understanding your need for Him. So we're trying to think through, how do I explain sin? I had a conversation with my kids at the dinner table this last week. We were talking about sin, and I'm trying to think through what would be a good way to describe sin to a 10-year-old, to an 8-year-old, and to a 4-year-old. We can talk about how it's missing the mark, right? The Greek word literally means to miss the mark, to fall short. No, that doesn't really work. So I started to say, you know what, sin is really boring. I mean, it's painfully boring, actually. If you read the book of Chronicles, you have chapter after chapter of evil king after evil king who did evil in the sight of the Lord, then he died. And they're really boring chapters. I think that's intentional. Sin is boring. It doesn't get really exciting until a righteous man steps on the scene and begins to shake things up a little bit. Sin is boring because you guys are having fun, and sin enters the equation, and somebody loses their temper or gets upset. All this fun stops, and it's no longer enjoyable. Sin is boring. I also try to describe sin as being really tricky. Sin is one of those things that it convinces us that to act a certain way is right and appropriate and good. And we are convinced of this until we act out on it, and then we realize, oh man, I've fallen short. I've sinned. I've missed the mark. I've caused boringness to enter into the situation. So it's tricky. It gets into our minds and we begin to believe it's lies. And if we let sin take up habitation in our lives long enough, what happens is, and I quote to the kids, sin makes you stupid. I mean, it really does. Sin makes you stupid. I mean, you look at our world today and people are loving things that they should not be loved, right? I mean, we worship the destruction of children and homes and marriages. And we say that that's good. But the Bible talks about this. The fool says in his heart that there is no God. Or woe to those who say evil is good and good is evil. This is stupidity, really. Sin really does make people stupid. When you see stupidness happening in the world, and we can even define stupid, it has nothing to do with intelligence. It's actually holistic, right? From top to bottom, how you think, how you feel, how you act, what you love, your affections. When sin enters in, it makes us stupid. And there's example after example after example in the Bible of how sin makes us stupid. And it's tricky in that, and it causes us to be blinded to the truth. It causes us to be blind to God's perfect will and what is good and what is great and what is awesome. And how God has designed us as His image bearers to be about His business, moving the redemption of all creation forward. Yet we get blinded to this amazing call because of sin, and we chase after other things, which then leads to stupidity. So as I was reading the story of Isaiah, 2 Kings chapter 1, the effects of sin just kind of kept coming to mind. And I really believe what we see illustrated in this story, Elijah, Isaiah, is that sin makes people blind. And not only that, but sin makes people stupid. So if you turn with me to the 2 Kings chapter 1, we'll jump back into the story of Elijah, his life story, a riveting story, an exciting story as this righteous man stepped onto the scene and begun to really make the sinful people, the Ahabs and the Jezebels, really nervous and really unsettled. So continue the story of Elijah. We move forward a few years. 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 1, it says this: after the death of Ahab, Moab rebelled against Israel. So then we have to say, wait a second, Ahab has been like the main villain thus far in the story. He has been the guy who has despised Elijah. He is the one who married Jezebel, and they worked together to bring Baal worship into Israel. And all of a sudden he's dead. Well, what happened? Well, if we go back to do a quick catching you up on the story, because we jumped ahead about a decade or so. So to go back, we see that we last left Elijah on Mount Sinai, the mountain of God, right? And he goes to Sinai to bring a charge against Israel, to say they are rebellious, they are unfaithful to the covenant, they need to be destroyed, they need to be cast out. They are no longer worthy of being in a covenant relationship with God. So Elijah goes to tell God this, and God shows up in this magnificent way. He shows up with the wind and the earthquake and the fire, and then there's that sheer silence, that absolute silence when God finally arrives to hear Elijah's appeal. Well, from there, God promises Elijah that I'll take care of. I hear your report. Israel deserves to be destroyed, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to raise up 3 swords to do it, 3 men that will move this mission forward and bring Israel to their knees. The first is Hazael, the second is Jehu, and the third is Elisha. So these 3 men will come forward and they will continue this mission of seeing Israel destroyed. And then Elisha leaves Mount Sinai and begins to walk towards Samaria, which is what God told him to do. And on his way, he finds Elisha. He throws his cloak over him and he calls him to be his disciple, his apprentice. Elisha leaves everything. He sells the oxen that he has to come out of his family, and he goes with Elijah. And Elisha ends up being this great and mighty prophet. He is the one that comes after Elijah to continue that ministry. And then in chapter 20 of 1 Kings, right, the scene shifts away from Elisha, which is really the focus of 17, 18, and 19. And then in chapter 20, focuses on Ahab, right? The king of Israel, the rebellious king, the one who's truly a fool. So we see that Ahab goes to war with Ben-Hadad. And Ben-Hadad is the king of Syria. They go to war, and God actually gives him victory when the odds were not in his favor, but gives him victory. And Ben-Hadad comes into custody, and Ahab, if he were to obey God, would have done away with him. He was an evil, evil man. But instead he makes a deal with him. He covenants with him and lets him go. Thus showing his stupidity and his blindness because of his sin. In the next story we see that Ahab begins to be fussy and whiny because he sees this really nice vineyard next to the castle. And he sees that the grapes are rich and he goes, that would make really good wine. I want that vineyard for myself. So he goes to the owner of the vineyard and His name was Naboth. He said, Naboth, can I buy this vineyard for you? If you don't want money, I'll give you a different vineyard. I really want this one. And Naboth is like, I would never give anything that God has entrusted to me to you. You're not worthy of having any land in Israel. And Ahab stomps his foot. All upset. He goes into bed and lies down, starts moping. And Jezebel's wife comes in and sees him distraught and crying and all upset. What's wrong? What's troubling you, my husband, king of Israel? And David won't give you the vineyard that I want. She's like, what? Aren't you the king? You just wait here, sweetheart. I'll go get it. So she goes and finds some people in Israel and says, listen, I want to bring a charge against Naboth. And when I bring this charge against him, I want you all to affirm this charge. It's a false accusation, and the penalty will be death. So some crooked men, sideways men, some men who are also stupid because of sin, say, yeah, we'll do that. So she goes and she makes a charge against David and brings him before a council of people. Says, is there anybody who can second this charge? And these crooked men say yes, and they all stone him. And then she goes back to Ahab. Says, don't worry, you're not going to whine anymore. Enough with the tissues. Here's your vineyard. It's yours. So he enjoys this vineyard for some time, and then Elijah does show up. He has a quick conversation. He basically condemns him, condemns Ahab, condemns his whole house, and says, because of this sin, you will die. And there will be utter destruction upon your house. There is going to be nothing left. Before it's all said and done, your name will just be in the memory books, or in the history books. There is going to be nothing left of you, because you're such a deplorable person. And then he goes on to say, in fact, in that same place where you stoned David, the dogs are going to lick up your blood. You're going to die there as well. Ahab actually says he's sorry. And God relents a little bit and says, you know what, instead of bringing utter destruction to the house in his lifetime, I'm going to do it to his kids, because he's humbled himself. Now, this would be a great sermon about the magnificent grace of God. Right? This evil man actually humbled himself before God, and God relented. God relented. He is bad, dude. He deserved a great punishment, but God said, you know what? I'm still going to punish your house, but I'm going to wait until your children come of age. And they'll leave their deaths. So David continues upon his stupidity and his blindness, and there's a piece of land in Israel that he wants. And it's the land is called Ramoth Gilead. It belonged to Israel, and there was this uprising, right? There was these people that were governing it. He wanted it for himself. Originally, it was ours. We're letting these other people live there. So he goes to the king of Judah, Jehoshaphat, and says, hey, let's team up here and let's go get this land. So Jehoshaphat says, okay, I'll do that. We'll team up. So they go to war. The story continues. And eventually, things die down. Ahab is sitting in his chariot, no one's fighting. And then accidentally, a soldier pulled back an arrow, fired. It wasn't shooting at anyone, it was an accident. And that arrow was guided and it struck Ahab right in the chest. And he slumped down into his chariot. And he tells his driver, take me home, or I'm injured. So the chariot goes back to Samaria, to Israel. And there, by the time he arrived, Naboth is dead in his chariot by a random arrow. Out of all the things, right, that had been coming to him, it's a random arrow. To say it's random, this is God's sovereignty at work here. A random arrow hits him, and he dies in his chariot, and he bleeds out. It just so happens that the chariot was parked in the courtyard where they bring judgments against people, and they stone people. It's the same place Naboth had died. And they bring the king out, and they mourn, they go to bury him, and they wash out the chariot, the blood out of the chariot, and the dogs come and lick up his blood, thus fulfilling the word of the Lord. Now, Ahab had two sons, and his oldest son's name was Hazael. All right? Hazael is the guy that we're focusing on now. So this is now a couple years later, and Hazael is a chip off the old block, right? He's very, very much like his dad. So when we look again at 2 Kings 1:1, it says, after the death of Ahab, all right? That's the story. That's how Ahab dies. And Moab rebels. Moab is this little country that Israel had ruled over. And Ahab was kind of this extortionist sort of guy, telling him, hey, you have to give me 1,000 sheep and 1,000 wolves of ram, the wool of 1,000 rams. So when Ahab died, they rebelled and they tried to leave the heavy hand of Israel. That's what's going on, right? After the death of Ahab, Moab rebelled against Israel. So now that we know what's going on, we pick up the story of Elijah. And what we see in verses 2 through 8 is an injured king, like his father was injured in a chariot, an injured king who is completely blinded by sin. The sin blinds people. And there are many stories in the Bible that we see sin's blinding effect. Sin blinds people to the glory of God. It blinds people to truth. Right? It's very much like putting on certain glasses. We were able to do a tour at a hospital here in town, and there were these glasses that we could put on, and it would show what it would look like if we had severe dementia, what the room would look like. And it was hard to focus on different aspects of the room. And this is kind of like one of those blinding effects of sin, is that it causes us not to see things clearly. Right? It's these lenses. It's when we get up in the morning and all of a sudden our circumstances really haven't changed, but we begin to get really anxious and really afraid because everything is going wrong. We let fear take hold, and it brings our emotions in different places, and it brings our mind in different places. And we go every place except for God to find clarity and peace. This is what sin does. It distorts our vision. It blinds our vision to the truth, to clarity. Most of the stories in the Bible illustrate sin's blinding or distorting effects. That's the story of Adam and Eve, the story of Jacob and Esau, the disciples and the Pharisees. Jesus brings this up often. Are you blind? You blind guys? Your vision is distorted. You don't see God clearly. Sin blinds people to God's faithfulness, to His love, to His peace, to His truth, to His righteousness, to His glory. And we, like blind beggars, stumble about searching for these things, this truth and peace, love and joy and glory, in all the wrong places. We're looking for these things as if we're blind beggars having no clue where to find them. This is what sin does. So, we're going to look at Uzziah, this blind king, this spiritually stupid individual. Now, Uzziah, verse 2, fell through the lattice in his upper chamber in Samaria and lay sick. So he sent messengers telling them, go inquire Beelzebub, the god of Ekron, whether I shall recover from this sickness. So again, Uzziah is Ahab and Jezebel's firstborn son. All right, they had two sons, and Uzziah is the firstborn. And again, like father, like son, the Bible actually tells us that Uzziah sinned against the Lord in all the same ways his father did. This is at the end of 1 Kings. So with Uzziah, we don't know exactly what happened, but he was up in his chambers, up above, and fell through some lattice and injured himself. So we don't know if he was leaning out the window trying to talk to somebody and he fell through the lattice. We don't know if maybe he's just a little clumsy, right? And he was walking, he tripped and fell on the lattice, and he had some internal bleeding. We don't know. Maybe he had too much wine that night, was stumbling around and fell through a great lattice and injured himself. We're not sure exactly what happened. But what we know is that this injury is fairly serious. Right? It's fairly serious. It's serious enough that he has to figure out, am I going to recover or am I not? I don't know what's happening here. I'm not bouncing back like I used to. So he sends some of his messengers to go to Beelzebub and Ekron in order to get a word from this deity, from this god, as to whether or not he will recover. So who is Beelzebub? We've heard of Baal, the prophets of Baal, the chief deity of the Canaanites. Well, Beelzebub is the same deity, just worshipped in a Philistine city, as opposed to the Canaanites, and has a different name, and different traditions, and different ideas around it. All right? But ultimately, it comes that same demonic being, Baal. So, and this is a funny part of the story, actually. Ahaziah tells his messengers, go and inquire, get wisdom, get understanding, get prophecy from Beelzebub. Right? One of my favorite things about the Bible is the authors, inspired by the Holy Spirit, but the authors' great use of irony and wit and satire in order to mock those who are running after false gods, in order to mock those who would exchange truth for a lie. And we see this happening here because what Ahaziah really wanted was his messengers to go and to inquire of Beelzebul, right? Beelzebul, not Beelzebub. And Beelzebul we see is actually a god that's mentioned in the Gospels, where the scribes accuse Jesus of casting out demons by the power of Beelzebul. Right? Beelzebul was this prince of demons. You see, within this word Baal, it can be a proper name like Baal the god, or it can be a title that describes a deity. Alright? So, what Ahaziah wants to see happen is go to Beelzebul. He is the prince of, or the master of princes, or the lord of princes, or the lord of thrones, or lofty places. This is what that name means. Right? But the author of Kings wanted to say, there is no master of kings. There is no master of princes or thrones or lofty places. There's only one God like that, and that's Yahweh. Master of princes. So we write Beelzebub, which means master of flies. The Lord of flies, essentially. It's mocking even this idea of going and to Beelzebub, this false, this weak, this pathetic God, in order to inquire about healing. Right? So he writes down for us, Beelzebub, the god of flies. This is really who Ahaziah is sending his messengers to inquire about. Right? And I was thinking about this, man, that could be applied to us all the time. If I'm having a rough day, if you're having a rough day, how often do we go and acquire social media in order to bring us joy? Right? If we're feeling depressed or feeling overwhelmed, how often do we go and inquire of certain kinds of food and binge eat or binge watch some TV in order to bring healing to ourselves? Right? I mean, we have the God of all joy, love, and peace here for us. Yet we say, no, I'm going to go after the Lord of the flies. I'm going to go and try to find some wisdom here in this pathetic, annoying, mosquito blood-sucking God that I would call Netflix, or that I might call a social media app on our phone, or whatever it might be. So this is the God that Ahaziah sends his messengers to go inquire about. So what happens is they say, okay, we'll go and do that for you, king. As they leave, the scene shifts from Ahaziah in his bed, in his room, talking to his messengers, and go talk to the Lord of the flies for me. He's got some healing potions. The scene shifts then to Elijah, talking to the true God of princes, the true God and Lord of lofty places. Look with me in verses 3 and 4. The scene shifts. The angel of the Lord said to Elijah the Tishbite, arise, go up to meet the messengers of the king of Samaria, and say to them, is it because there is no God in Israel that you are going to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? Now, therefore, thus says the Lord, you shall not come down from the bed to which you have gone up, but you shall surely die. So Elijah says, all right, and he goes. So Elijah went. So we've got this scene of the king, Ahaziah, talking to his messengers, go to Beelzebub, and then we have the scene of Yahweh talking to his messenger, saying, go to those messengers and give them this message. So Elijah goes. He went. And this message is consistent of a question and then a prophecy, right? The question is it because there is no God in Israel that you are going to inquire Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? This is the question you are to ask them. And then you're to give them this prophecy. You shall not come down from the bed to which you have gone up, but you shall surely die. Because you have done this, you will not come down from the bed. And this question, this prophecy, is repeated 3 times in the story, which tells us that this is one of the central concerns of the narrative. So, when Isaiah sends the messengers to Ekron, he is implying that there is no God in Israel. He's implying that Beelzebub is more worthy of inquiry, more worthy of wisdom, has greater influence in Israel's life than Yahweh does. He's implying that he wants nothing to do with Yahweh, the God of his fathers. He's implying that he is in open rebellion against God by pursuing these false gods, these pathetic gods, these lying and stupid gods. The Lord of the flies. You are in open rebellion against God when you are chasing after these things for what only God, Yahweh, can do. I think we can all relate to Isaiah's idolatry. When circumstances of life became overwhelming for Isaiah, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to recover from this. Things are getting pretty rough. If there's an infection starting, the circumstances of life are overwhelming, and instead of inquiring of God, you can inquire of Beelzebub because he hates him. And when circumstances in our life become overwhelming, we often don't inquire of God, not because we hate him, but because we don't trust him. Honestly, and that's a big part. We really don't trust him. We don't think that he's strong enough to handle these difficult circumstances. Or if we're really honest, I don't know if he really cares. He's just kind of indifferent. He's out there in the floaty world of ideas. This infection actually hurts. And this broken relationship actually stings. And we think that, well, what good can God do? When we have fear, fear is something that grips so many people so often in the time. Fear of death, fear of sickness, family, finances, relationships. Fear grips us in such a way that, if one of my kids fall and they hurt themselves, there's all this fear that comes rushing upon saying, am I going to have the money to pay for these medical bills? And is this something that is going to be a serious injury? And all of a sudden, we start to panic. And fear takes hold. Same thing with relationships. If there's a tip or there's an argument or something like that, all of a sudden we get all these fears that, oh my goodness, they're going to go and gossip about me, they're going to say this and that about me. I'm going to lose status in these people's minds. I'm going to lose the influence that I once had. We begin to fear. Grief, likewise. With the loss of a loved one, or disappointment, or broken trust. When we feel like, man, I don't know how to get up in the morning. This is so difficult. Like, do we go to the God of all comfort? Do we go to the Prince of Peace? Do we run to Jesus? Do we find security in his promises? Safety in his kingship? But what about when chaos enters our lives? Right? Chaos, you have those weeks where it's just incredibly busy, and all of a sudden those busy weeks begin to stack upon each other. And then those weeks turn into months, and all of a sudden your whole life is dictated and described as chaos. Where at one point you have good rhythms in life and good habits and things are going well, and all of a sudden life begins to happen to you, as opposed to you living your life. Everything begins to hit you. You become passive. You can't find any peace. You begin to fight with anxiety and depression. Where do you look for peace? Where do you look for that calm? To seek the one who is ours in Christ. You see, there is no different, there's not really a different line of thinking with Isaiah. Right? He does not run to God. He runs to something that he thinks will help immediately, something that he has more confidence in, something he trusts more. The same way we so often run into the arms of entertainment to bring us joy and merriment. We run to food and drink to bring us peace when we are grieving. We run to legislation and finances and alarm systems when we are looking for security. or our kids and hoping that they will provide me the joy that I need from them. Right? We go after good gifts from God and we begin to say, you should be the one that gives me joy. When God is saying, man, I'm the fountain of all joy. It is God that is the giver of joy. It is not your kids, it's not your family, it's not your spouse, it's not your circumstances. It is God. Yet we begin to look at things and expect things from people, like healing from the Lord of the Flies. We expect things from people that God has not designed them to give us. We understand Isaiah's strategy in going to Beelzebub. Because of this idolatry, in Isaiah's case, that Yahweh says that the king will not recover. He will not come down from his bed, but he will surely be dead. This is the result of misplaced confidence. This is the result of misplaced joy. This is the result of finding answers and security and comfort from something other than God. So, when the messengers go and they hear these words from Elijah, and they hear these words, they don't even continue their journey to the Philistine city of Ekron to talk to Beelzebub, because Elijah told them, you go tell your king this. And what we see in Elijah's life, if you tell somebody to do something, they listen. Right? So they go on the way to Ekron to consult with Beelzebub. Elijah comes and gives them this prophecy and this warning or this question. Is it because there's no God in Israel that you would go and consult with or inquire of Beelzebub? Once they hear this, they turn around and go right back to the king. They're still laying in his bed. So when they arrive, the king is wondering, why are you back so quickly? This was a multiple-day journey. How is it that you're back in just a matter of hours or a day? And the news that they gave him was not good. Look at me, verses 5 and 6. The messengers returned to the king and said to him, and he said to them, why have you returned? What are you doing here? I was expecting you next week. And they said to him, there came a man to meet us, and he said to us, go back to the king who sent you and say to him, thus says Yahweh. Thus says the Lord. Is it because there is no God in Israel that you are sending to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron? Therefore, you shall not come down from the bed to which you have gone up, but you shall surely die. When Isaiah heard his messengers repeat this phrase, thus says Yahweh, there was a sent chills down his spine. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. You see, Yahweh was the enemy God. He is the God that prophesied complete and utter destruction of his house. He knows what Elijah said to his father Ahab. Right? He knows Yahweh was the God who he grew up hearing about from his father Ahab and his mother Jezebel. Yahweh was the God that caused that great famine when he was a child. Yahweh is the God that brought fire down from heaven in order to evaporate the altar that the prophets of Baal set up. Yahweh is the God that called his prophets to slaughter the 450 prophets of Baal. He had heard all about this God. And now, some man claiming to speak for Yahweh is saying that he is not going to get better, but that he's going to die. So no doubt with anger and fear in his voice, he asks his messengers, what kind of man said this to you? Verse 7. They said, what kind of man has come? Or what kind of man was he who came to meet you and told you these things? Maybe his eyes thinking, maybe it's a trickster, maybe it's an imposter, maybe it's some clown wanting to rile up the politics of the king and the nerves of the king. Maybe the messengers heard wrong, right? Maybe they had some accident. Maybe they were drinking a little too much wine on this trip and they didn't hear correctly. So Isaiah is saying, what kind of man was it? What kind of man met you and said, describe him to me? So they knew that. They answered him. He wore a garment of hair with a belt of leather about his waist. And he said, the king said, that's Elijah. is a problem. This is public enemy number one. This is the guy that every time my mom, Jezebel, hears his name, her eyes turn red, and she starts rubbing her hands and snarling and saying, how am I going to kill this man? This is the guy that has caused so much pain and struggle in Israel. This is the guy that has brought nothing but bad fortune upon my family. His worst fears have just come true. So how does he respond? How does Uzziah respond? Now, one way he could have responded is to say, oh, Elijah, he's the one that raised the dead boy from the dead. Elijah is the one that fed the widow. Elijah is the one that was fed by Yahweh in the wilderness by ravens. If he can do all of that, he heard fire down from heaven, surely he could do it. That would have been a good way to respond. But like I said, sin makes us blind and stupid, so we don't think that way. Instead, he responds the way his parents taught him to respond. He wants to kill him. He wants to arrest him. He wants to see Elijah suffer. So, we see what his response is in verses 9 through 17. Look with me at verse 9 through 17. It says this. Then the king sent to him a captain, sent to Elijah. All right. Then the king sent to him a captain of 50 men with his 50. So the captain with his 50 soldiers behind him to go get Elijah. Elijah is a big deal in the king's mind. This isn't, I'm not going to just send the deputy. I'm going to send the captain and his army with him to get this guy. So the captain of 50 with his 50, he went up to Elijah, who was sitting on the top of a hill, and said to him, "O man of God, the king says, come down." But Elijah answered the captain of 50, "If I am a man of God, let fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50. Then fire come down from heaven and consume him and his 50. Uzziah gets word of this. Oh, I hate Elijah. You captain of another 50, go get him. All right, I'll do it. Again, the king sent to him another captain of 50 men with his 50. And he answered and said to him, "O man of God, this is the king's order." So he adds the order to his. This is the king's order. Come down quickly. But Elijah answered them, "If I'm a man of God, let fire come down from heaven and consume you with your 50. Then fire came down from heaven and consumed him and his 50. The king gets word. Elijah, you captain of another 50, go get them. Really? Again, the king sent the captain of a third 50 with his 50. And the third captain of 50 went up and came and fell on his knees before Elijah and entreated him, "O man of God, please let my life and the life of these 50 servants be yours. Be precious in your sight." Behold, fire came down from heaven and consumed the 2 former captains of 50 men with their 50s. But now, let my life be precious in your sight. And the angel of the Lord said to Elijah, "Go down with him. Do not be afraid of him." So he arose and went down with him to the king. He said to him, I've heard this before, "Thus says the Lord, thus says Yahweh, because you have sent messengers to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of flies, god of Ekron, is it because there is no God in Israel to inquire of his word? Therefore, you shall not come down from the bed to which you have gone up, but you shall surely die." So he died according to the word of the Lord that Elijah spoke. Jehoram became king in his place. This is Uzziah's younger brother. He became king in his place in the second year of Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, because Uzziah had no son. Now, the rest of the acts of Uzziah that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel? So we've already seen in this story how sin blinds us. Uzziah sends his messengers to a false god because his vision is so distorted by sin and he doesn't know who the great physician really is. He sends for wisdom from a false god, the god of flies, because sin has so distorted and blinded his vision, he doesn't know that Yahweh is the God of all wisdom. Sin blinds people. And then in this story, we see sin not only blinds, but sin makes people stupid. Isaiah sends out 3 groups of 50 men with their captains to arrest Elijah. And each group is consumed by fire, except for the third, because this captain had a little bit more sense than even the king to appeal to Elijah for mercy. This is a perfect example of how sin makes us stupid. We continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, hoping for different results. We go to that same website over and over and over again, hoping for fulfillment. We go to that same friend and gossip over and over and over again, hoping for different results. But in the end, it's just shame, guilt, and disappointment, and nothing was achieved. Jesus stands there, the source of all truth, the source of all wisdom and joy, and he gives himself to us. But because sin makes us stupid from top to bottom and blinds us, we constantly run after these other things. Proverbs 10:21 says this, it says, the lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for lawlessness. Fools die for lawlessness. A modern translation of that would be stupid, or fools die because they're stupid. Sinners die because they're stupid. A lack of sense. And think about how true this is in the Bible. I mean, we've got stories like Ananias and Sapphira, right? They sell a field and they go to the apostles, and just to save a few pennies, they lie to the apostles about how much they got for the field, saying that, oh, we're giving all of it to the work of the ministry. God strikes them dead. Sin makes people stupid. Think about David and Bathsheba. David has done all of these great works in his life. God has blessed him beyond measure. He's killed the giant Goliath. He's got fame and recognition. He's writing the songs. He is this great man, the apple of God's eye, a man after his own heart. And his sin begins to creep in and take up some real estate in his life. And he decides, I'm not going to go to war, battle with my company, with my army. I'll stay back. And as he stays back, he sees this pretty girl bathing. And he acts stupid. He acts stupid. He has no sense. He calls for her and ruins her life and loses the child. And he deserved to die. Think about the prodigal son, right? This boy grows up in a healthy, wealthy family. You have everything you could ever want, son. We'll take care of you. And his son says, I want more. I want all of it to be mine. I want my inheritance now. And he takes it. He leaves the security of the family, and he goes and blows all of his money. And he ends up eating with the pigs and living in their mud and that. It's just stupid. Sin makes people stupid. And here we read the story, and we see how sin has made Hazael stupid. He is blinded by rage, and he sends a captain of 50 to go and arrest Elijah. Look again at verses 9 and 10. It says, then the king sent him a captain of 50 men with 50, and he went up to Elijah, who was sitting on the top of a hill, and he said to him, O man of God, O man of God, the king says, come down. But Elijah answered the captain of the 50, if I am a man of God, let fire come down from heaven and consume you with your 50. And fire came down and consumed him with 50. That's the first. And then Hazael says, I want another. And he sends another captain of 50. And then another. And the third, again, finally appeals to Elijah. But what's going on here is really interesting, because Elijah is sitting on the top of this hill, and he begins to play word games with these soldiers. He begins to, in a sense, mock them and their stupidity. I know it sounds rough, but that's really what's going on. Let me explain it real quick, and then we'll close. The funny thing here is that when the soldiers come to him, and they call him, O man of God. O man of God. Okay, so what's happening here is the Hebrew word for man is the word ish. Right? Ish. So it says, I am an ish of God. Let fire come down from heaven and consume you with your food. And the fire came down. Now, the Hebrew word for fire is ish, which comes from the same Hebrew word as ish. Ish and ish are very similar. At Easter, we talk about how this comes together in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. But what's happening is you have this soldier coming to you with his 50, or this captain with his 50, and say, "Oh, man of God, Dish of God, come down." So Elijah says, "Well, I'm a Dish of God, I'm a Dish of God, come down." And then fire comes down from heaven. So he's just playing with them, essentially. You're calling me a man of God? You're calling me a man of God and want me to come down. If I'm a man of God, if I'm the Dish of God, let Dish of God come down. So he just plays with them multiple times. And then finally, on the third, comes down and he goes to the king. And he tells him prophecy that we've heard over and over again this morning. That because of your sin, because of your blindness, because of your stupidity, you will surely die. And then, in verse 17, it says that he died according to the word of the Lord that Elijah spoke. He died according to the word of the Lord that Elijah spoke. There's a theme throughout the story of Elijah, and throughout the whole Bible, that what Yahweh declares comes true. This is true over and over and over again in the Bible. What God says is true. God's words are true. If God says that Ahab is going to die and the dogs will lick up his blood in the same spot, if God says it, that's what happens. If God says you will not come down from your bed, you will surely die, the Isaiah, that's what happens. And we see this all throughout the Bible. Right? What God says is true. God's words are true. His words are to be trusted. He is unchanging, meaning that he is to be trusted today as being just as anchored, just as accountable, just as true today as he was in the days of Elijah. God's words are true today. But what tends to happen is, again, we allow sin to come up and take up some residence in our life, and we become blind to the faithfulness of God. We begin to doubt him. We begin to question his faithfulness. We begin to look for hope in other people and places and things. We lose confidence in the God who continues to sustain us with each breath that we take. We forget that God's words are true. When we let sin come in, we lose confidence in who he is. And when this happens, we become blinded towards his truth. And as we live this way, eventually what begins to happen is we become stupid. Just like Ahab. Just like Uzziah. We believe lies. We actually, it's not that we just don't trust God, we put our trust in something else. We think joy is to be found outside the person of Christ. We think that peace is to be found maybe within. We think that love is found on a computer screen or on a social media post. When sin sets up residence in our lives, we become both blind and stupid, forgetting what God says is true. So, as we go this week, as you live your lives, as you go to work with your coworkers, as you interact with your friends, as you lead with your families, as you eat meals together, go with the confidence and go knowing that what God says is true. Guaranteed. It's a check you can take to the bank. God's words are true. And this is what he says. He says that he is your peace. If you're looking for peace, it is only found in Christ. He is our peace. He is our truth. He is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the source of all righteousness. It is not in your own good works. Your righteousness is found in Christ. In him, there is joy forevermore. That is a true statement. It's only in Christ that you find joy. He is the fountain of all love, and he is the definition of glory. And he has brought you near, and has made you sons and daughters of the King. And he has removed your guilt and shame to where we can say with full confidence that there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ. So as we go with clear eyes, and go with a mind and a will and a body and actions that are seeking to pursue Christ and his perfection and his glory, and not pursuing the Lord of the flies. Let's be people who focus our eyes on Christ and run out. Let's pray. God, we thank you that your grace reaches into the darkest places and snatches us out of the chains of sin. Lord, we thank you that you have done all for us, and that you are a true God, and that you have come to us in the person of Christ. Lord, that you have come to us and you have made a way for us to come to you by your blood. And God, not only that, but you are all that we need in life. God, all good gifts come down from you. And God, as we go this week, would we be marinated in the scriptures, Lord? May we see your truth in life. God, may we not believe lies and be deceived. God, may we not run toward idols that do not satisfy. But God, may we be a people who long to be with you, and to feast with you, and to hear from you, and to trust that your word is true. So again, each week we gather together to take communion. And this meal is going to be the most glorious meal creation has ever experienced. And this meal represents what Jesus has done for us. And when he was with his disciples, his words again were true. He took the bread and he broke and said, "This is my body, which is broken for you." Christ's body was broken on your behalf. It was broken so that you don't have to be. It was broken so you can have healing. It's his body broke for you, and he gave it to his disciples. And he said, "Take, eat this, and do this as often as you would in remembrance of me." But Jesus did not just break his body for us so that we don't have to be broken, but he shed his blood for us as well. And his blood is a symbol of the new covenant that we have in Christ. He poured it out, and he told his disciples that this blood, this cup, this wine represents my blood, a new covenant in my blood. And it's been poured out for you. It is washed away all of your sins, and your stains, and your shame, and your guilt. And it brought you to this covenant relationship, this beautiful promise of God's faithfulness, that he will be with you, and that we will be with him. And he gave it to his disciples and said, "Hey, drink this, and do this as often as you would in remembrance of it." So as the band plays, come forward and take communion. Go to the outside, come up as groups, and take the bread together, and take the cup together, and celebrate the truth of God's words, the truth of God's promises, that we can come and feast with him, and he is with us in a unique way this morning as we take communion. Let me pray. God, we thank you for your grace. We thank you for this beautiful symbol and this reality that you've given us in the Lord's Supper. God, may we come and take it feast with one another and with you, and may this covenant be renewed in a fresh way. In your name we pray.
morning, let me be worship. Just drop the money in the altar. But let me be worship. Say, God, I trust you. I trust you. We respond now by faith and generously giving of our resources to advance the work of the gospel in God's kingdom on earth.
Come thou fount of every blessing, to my heart to sing thy praise. Streets of mercy, never ceasing, all for souls of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet, some flaming tongues above. Raise the mountain, fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. Here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I come, and I hope thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God, came to rescue me from danger. He interposed his precious blood. Though to grace how great a debtor, daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy goodness, like a fetter, bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to